Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and opening your banking app. Everything looks normal at first. Your balance, your recent purchases, your payment history, and then you see it. A small charge, $35. At first, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Maybe you forgot the due date, maybe you were busy, maybe life simply got in the way. $35. For many people, that's the price of lunch. For others, it's just a small inconvenience. But what if that tiny fee was never meant to be small? What if that $35 charge is actually part of a system that quietly generates billions of dollars every single year? Because here's something most credit card users never realize. That small late fee you see on your statement isn't just a penalty. It's part of a massive financial machine. A machine that earns banks more than $14 billion every single year, just from late fees alone. Think about that for a moment. $14 billion, all generated from people missing their payment dates. But how does something so small become something so enormous? And why do millions of people continue falling into the same financial trap over and over again? To understand that, we need to go back to the beginning. Back to the moment when credit cards first changed the way people spent money. When credit cards first appeared, they were marketed as a revolutionary convenience. Instead of carrying cash everywhere, people could simply swipe a card. No counting bills, no worrying about exact change, just swipe and go. And for consumers, it felt incredible. Suddenly, buying something didn't require having money in your pocket. All it required was a small piece of plastic. But what most people didn't realize at the time was that this small piece of plastic was doing something powerful to human psychology. Researchers studying spending habits discovered something fascinating. When people pay with cash, their brain actually feels the loss of money. Physically handing over cash creates a small emotional discomfort. Your brain instantly recognizes that you are losing money, but when people use a credit card, that feeling almost disappears. You swipe the card, the purchase is approved, and you walk away with the item. But the actual payment happens weeks later. That delay changes the way people think about spending. Because when the brain doesn't feel the immediate loss of money, spending becomes easier, much easier. Studies have shown that people often spend between 10 and 20% more when using credit cards instead of cash. And banks understand this behavior extremely well, because more spending means larger balances. Larger balances mean more interest, and more interest means more profit. But interest alone is not the full story. The credit card industry has another powerful tool: late fees. At first glance, late fees seem reasonable. If someone agrees to make a payment by a certain date and fails to do so, a penalty might seem fair. But the real power of late fees isn't the amount itself. It's the frequency. Millions of people miss payment deadlines every year. Sometimes they forget. Sometimes they misunderstand the billing cycle. Sometimes they simply run out of money. But the result is always the same. A late fee appears on the statement, usually around $30 to $40. And that small charge quietly adds up across millions of accounts. Imagine 10 million people missing their payment date. 10 million late fees. At $35 each, that's $350 million. From just one round of missed payments. Now imagine that happening every month, across multiple banks, across millions of credit cards. Suddenly the numbers become staggering. And that's exactly what happens in the real world. Every year, Americans pay billions of dollars in credit card late fees. But the late fee itself is only the beginning of the story. Because once a payment is missed, something even more powerful begins working in the background. Interest. Credit card interest rates are among the highest interest rates in the entire financial system. Many credit cards charge interest rates between 20 and 30% per year, which means that when someone carries a balance, the amount they owe grows quickly. Very quickly. If someone keeps paying only the minimum payment each month, the balance can remain for years, sometimes even decades. During that time, interest continues accumulating, month after month, year after year. And this is where the system becomes incredibly profitable for banks. Because a single missed payment doesn't just generate a late fee, it often triggers a long chain of interest payments that can last for years. Which means that small mistakes can slowly transform into long-term debt. And once someone enters that cycle, escaping it becomes much harder than most people expect. But here is the most important thing to understand. Credit cards themselves are not evil. They are simply financial tools. Some people use them wisely. They pay their balance in full every month. They never pay interest. They never pay late fees. But others fall into the cycle. And the difference between those two groups is simple. Knowledge. Understanding how the system works changes the way people use it. Because once you understand the trap, you can avoid it. You start paying attention to due dates. You stop relying on minimum payments. And you treat credit cards the same way you would treat cash. So the next time you see a small late fee on your credit card statement, remember this. That small number represents a system worth billions of dollars. A system built around human behavior. But once you understand how it works, you stop being part of the trap. And that is the moment you start taking control of your finances. If you want to understand more hidden financial systems like this and learn how money really works behind the scenes, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Because every week we break down complex financial topics into simple stories that help you make smarter decisions with your money.